Dr. Otiwe Buzo, change, you say, is an uphill task. And it wouldn't be easy. You're taking this right down to the sub-nationals as well as the assemblies right there.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the strategies you're going to adopt to this. How would you take this fight right to the doorsteps of all those who might want to resist?
Well, Nigeria is a huge country, and if it has taken us over 100 years to get to where we are, to have 4 women out of 109 women in Senate, you can imagine that if we wait to do everything by advocacy, by lobbying, by appealing to people's sensibilities, to take maybe 200 years to get to where we want to be. I see legislation as a veritable channel to correct what has gone wrong. You can't rule a country on people's perceptions, people's beliefs. We have our constitution, and if there's a constitutional amendment that provides for these reserved seats that we're talking about tonight, the National Assembly will comply, the states will comply. So law is a veritable channel by which we can correct, long years of marginalization, all the wrongs, that have been done. If the Electoral Act, for example, states that every political party, when you submit your nomination forms, X% of your nominees should be female or male, everybody will comply. If you don't comply, there are consequences. Your nominations will be rejected. So a country that is ruled by laws will always succeed. It's easy to make corrections. But I heard you talk about traditional rulers, and I say yes, that's also very important. Traditional and religious leaders need to join forces with everyone. In fact, if we understand the benefits of having women in governance, then we will know that it's not just a fight for women or for female activists. It is something on which everyone should raise their voices and converge efforts. I look forward to the day when NLC will march, for example, and say, because we want women included, or a certain law passed to ensure that, the wrongs that have been done to Nigerian women, are corrected, simply because they understand that when this is corrected, the entire nation benefits. But I can't say that everything has been in vain. So there are parts of the country where advocacy and lobbying with traditional and religious leaders have yielded some results. So, for example, in the Southeast, we hear that in some communities where traditional leaders did not include women in their cabinets, because of some work of NGOs in those communities, at the last count, sometime last year, somebody mentioned that there were 32 new chiefs that have been sworn in, appointed into traditional cabinets that were exclusively male cabinets. So it's happening gradually. And I know that several organizations like UN Women, Ford Foundation, they are engaging the National Traditional Councils, where you have the powerful traditional rulers and some powerful religious rulers, engaging on the issues of gender equality. Of course, many of them would not want to call it gender equality. They want to call it gender equity. And for me as an expert, I know that when you achieve equity, then you are driving towards equality, which is the goal. So whether you call it gender equity, there's another group called the Side-by-Side Movement. It's a group of faith leaders who have Christians and Muslims working together to achieve what they call gender justice. So it's not like nothing is happening, but Nigeria is huge, and for you to harvest, holistic results, it's going to take time. But what I'll always say is that as we work with traditional rulers to interpret the religious books correctly, because what we have seen so far is misinterpretation of the religious books, where people say, oh, the Bible says this and the Quran says that. Whereas when you meet with the experts, when they explain to you, you find that that was actually a gross misinterpretation. As we do all of that, if this assembly wants to write their name in gold and pass this reserved seat bill, it will go down in history, because it's going to automatically correct long years of marginalization. And forever and ever, we'll be talking about this assembly as the assembly that did the magic for Nigeria. And remember that we said it's a temporary measure. We're not saying forever and ever this is how it's going to be. But when you manage to empower some women and bring them into the room and they are parts of decision making and all of that, gradually, Nigerian women will become empowered. You see the case in Rwanda. Right now, I don't think anybody needs special measures in Rwanda because women are even topping, the bill. 61% in lower house, for example. So this is something that is doable. One layer at a time, but law. And that is where legislators come in. Legislators cannot shy away from this because apart from every other thing, they have the power of the purse also. And when the president makes nominations, who is it that approves those nominations? It is the legislators. When a governor makes nominations, who is it that approves nominations? It's the legislators. So I see legislature as a veritable force if they really want to write their names in gold. And I am worried. Why do you contest election and go to the National Assembly or the State Assembly and become a lawmaker, become powerful, if your intention is not to facilitate change that will benefit the people? At the end of your tenure, I'm speaking to legislators here, as many as care to listen. At the end of your tenure, what will you say you have achieved? Are you going to count the number of people from your village who you placed on government salary, many of whom are doing? Are you going to shine and say it was during my tenure that many years of marginalization of Nigerian women has been corrected? One law will do the magic.